Today at Hellow Media, we are talking to Clyde Pearson, an engineer working on a huge project in Papua New Guinea. We have lots of questions for him about this project and engineering as a profession.
What kind of engineer are you?
I'm a mechanical engineer, which means we tend to do a little bit of everything, which is good. There's two main kinds of mechanical engineers: static equipment and rotating equipment. And I've been involved with both of them. But yeah, so I'm a mechanical engineer.
Can you tell us a bit about how your career started as an engineer?
When I left school, I actually wanted to be a draftsman. I got a job working at York Trailers in North Allerton, which is close to Darlington, where I'm from. And so progressed on from being a draftsman to managing projects, and then to progress in my career, I needed to go to university and get formal qualifications as an engineer. And then from then on, I progressed through the ranks, became a project manager, managed multiple teams of people, and that's pretty much how I got started in engineering, really.
Do you enjoy the FIFO lifestyle, and how long does it take to fly to PNG?
Yes, I like the FIFO lifestyle because effectively I'm at home for 6 months of the year now, and I only work for 6 months. So that's one of the real benefits. How long does it take to fly to PNG? Well, I take 3 planes, so I fly from Melbourne to Brisbane, Brisbane to Port Moresby, and then Port Moresby to a small airport near to where I work, which is called Morrow Airport. And that is basically just a dirt track in the middle of the jungle where the planes land. But it takes around about, I think it's about 6 hours flying time, but it takes me a full day to get there. So I get up at usually about 4 a.m. in the morning, and I'll get to site at around about 6 o'clock in the evening, so it's quite a long day travelling there.
How long were you working in Russia for?
I was in Russia for around about 2.5 years, and that roster was a little bit different to the one I'm currently on, because that was 7 weeks on, 3 weeks off. But it's very cold in Russia.
Where were you working in Russia when you were doing your engineering?
So there's a place called Yuzhno in Sakhalin Island, and that's where I was working. But the work that we engineered was constructed in a place called Chaivo, which was a well site further north of on the island in Sakhalin, and it was much colder up there as well.
Do you prefer life being an engineer in Russia, in the PNG, Papua New Guinea, in Australia, or in England?
I think I prefer being in Australia because the lifestyle associated with being in Australia is much better from a social point of view. The UK wasn't so good. The weather was obviously a lot colder. PNG, there isn't really much you can do outside of work, so that's not a great place to live as well. And Russia, as I say, it does get very cold in the winter. If you like snow, then that's a good place to be. But yeah, I think I'd have to pick Australia.
Where did you live in PNG? Did you buy there?
So when I'm in PNG, I live on a construction camp. It's basically made up of porta cabins. We also have an industrial park there as well, where we do fabricate things as well on site. It's a 500-600 man camp, so there's quite a lot of people there, and we don't get to party, unfortunately. There's no alcohol on site, just soft drinks. But you know, with soft drinks, I suppose you can still get a bit groovy.
Now, for an engineer, do you prefer building bridges or demolishing bridges?
I prefer to build them. I think you get a sense of achievement out of building something, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to become an engineer, because I like to build things. We are in the process of demolishing, or we'll shortly be in the process of demolishing, a bridge in PNG, but that's only because it was damaged during an earthquake in 2018. So we had a 7.5 magnitude earthquake in PNG, and It damaged a lot of equipment.
What other structural projects have you worked on?
Well, pretty much everything that we do has an element of structural in it. So we've just recently built a refinery which had pipe bridges which are made out of structural steel. The modules are manufactured in the USA. They all had structural steel to support all of the equipment in the modules. But every project that we have, I think that we've ever worked on, will generally have a level of structural steel in it. It can be simply like pipe supports are essentially a structural support. I suppose one of the biggest jobs that I worked on was over in Barrow Island, where we built an LNG plant, and there was three LNG trains on that plant, and some of those modules were brought in from overseas, and the structural steel for those modules was significant because some of those modules weighed in excess of 2,000 to 3,000 tons, and we moved them in, bring them in on a ship, and then move them into position. But my role on that particular job was commissioning the LNG plant. So, but pretty much everything that you work on as an engineer will have structural steel in it.
What is your biggest challenge in your career so far?
Well, it's probably two actually that I think of. One would be moving from the UK to Australia. That was a challenge because obviously we moved the whole family, starting work in a new country that we didn't know. Fortunately, they speak English in Australia, kind of. And the second one would be, in terms of my career, would be working on Barrow Island, that LNG plant. And so I was part of the commissioning team, and we commissioned the biggest MEG storage and regeneration facility in the world at the time. A MEG is monoethylene glycol, and we use that to prevent ice forming in gas pipelines. So that's probably the biggest challenge I had commissioning that plant. But like I say, moving to Australia was also a very big challenge as well.
What's your most proud project ever?
It's probably Barrow Island again, the MEG plant that we commissioned. That was a mega project. I don't know what defines exactly what a mega project is, but I know that cost around about $100 billion. So it was a huge project. And I was there for, again, probably around about 2.5 years. It seems to be the norm for most projects these days. But to be part of that and to commission an element of that project was probably one of the proudest moments in my career.
What are your favourite job?
Why do I love my job?
Yes.
The reason I love my job is because I get to build things, and that's what engineers love to do. We like to, well, take things apart, see how they work, and then put them back together. That's why I love the job. I've always done that from being this big. I've always taken things apart and try to understand how they work and then put them back together. Didn't always work when I put them back together, but that's why I love being an engineer.
What are your favourite Disney movies?
My favourite Disney movie would have to be The Lion King.
Oh, yes. You're a nice guy.
Thank you.
Now, I've heard that you mentioned you have been working in Papua New Guinea, so I'm just wondering, have you ever walked on the famous track over there?
The Kokoda track?
Yes.
I haven't. I was asked to go probably nearly 20 years ago when I first came to Australia, but I actually chose not to go on it. But I've hiked through the jungle in PNG and probably haven't gone as far as the Kokoda trail, but yeah, I think I've done my fair share of hiking through the jungle, so I'll probably choose not to do the Kokoda trail.
Okay. And if you could invite anyone to have dinner with you, who would it be and why?
I would have to say it would probably be Margaret Thatcher.
Okay.
And the reason for that is I think she'd have a lot of good stories to tell. I think a lot of people would be upset about me inviting her along, particularly my family, because I know my family were totally opposed to Margaret Thatcher, but I think she did a great job overall in bringing the UK back to where it needed to be at the time. But since then, a lot of things have changed. But yeah, that's who I would invite to dinner.
Is it dangerous to work in Papua New Guinea?
It can be, yes, it can be. Which is why when we go out to remote well sites, we take security with us, and they're usually armed as well. So people have been taken hostage in PNG. Generally speaking, where I work, it's fairly safe.
Do you lead a team on your project?
So depending on the size of the project, will depend on the size of the team. Well, the last project we did, the refinery project, we had 150 people working on the project. So I was ultimately responsible for that job, but I wasn't directly responsible for supervising each person. But yeah, the team generally, you look after is around about six or eight people. And then from there, it just goes down to the rest of the crews. But yeah, generally around about 6 or 8 people.
Who do you turn to if your team comes across a challenge?
That's a good question as well. A lot of the time I turn to Google to see whether he can help me or she can help me. I suppose the good thing about being as old as I am, I tend to have come across a lot of challenges. If I do get something new, then that's the whole point of having a team. You talk to the team, and generally speaking, between you and your team members, you can work through whatever challenge you've got, and also with the help of Google as well from time to time.
The bridge that you were demolishing, what was it used for?
There was a well pad on the northern side of the ravine that we used to get oil and gas from. And this bridge used to carry the oil and gas across from one side of the ravine to the other. So that's basically what it was used. There was also a second pipe on there which is gas lift. What that gas is used for is to push the gas into the well, and it makes the oil come out. So there's a gas lift pipeline and a flow line pipeline going across on that bridge.
Can you tell me a bit about your experience with explosives?
Yes, so we built a road to a well pad which was just over 1 kilometre long, and we pioneered a track to the pad. And what that means basically is we send in arborists who cut all the trees down, and then we send in excavators to push the trees off the track. And then once we get down to the rock, we drill lots of holes. We put ammonium nitrate into the holes with a bit of diesel, some det cord, and then we basically blow the rocks up.
How do you wind down? Because it's a crazy job. Like we were just talking about explosives. How do you wind down, switch off after being, away for so long?
Alcohol is one of the ways of doing it. But I also like to do work in the garage, so playing around with bits of wood and making frames for Chrissy's pictures is a way of winding down. But just getting back to normal life, playing golf, going shopping, cooking meals, all of that helps to wind down at the end of a 4-week swing.
Next time you come home from a 4-week swing, I want to come to your place for some alcohol.
You're welcome. Come down.
Done.
Thank you, Clyde. How interesting. We appreciate your time today in explaining your amazing career and what you do.